Hey guys, welcome back to the table. This is Finding Atoria. We are so happy you are listening. And I'm Arcadia, and I'm with Malcolm.
Hi.
And Jess.
Hi.
In the studio today. We are very sad to be missing our Tori, who is off playing games while we only talk about them. And so we are very excited to support her in those endeavors.
Had emotional support. I think people know that we do these in batches, but just got a little bit of visual evidence that Tori is out there having fun, character sheets up, emotional support dragon in place.
That's fabulous.
Having a good time.
That's the way to do it. So welcome back to the table. We are Finding Atoria. We are a podcast that talks about all things TTRPG.
And apparently we all really like our theme music, or like our opening music, because like I just realized that all three of us were doing this like practically like
conducting
it in the air.
It's the song of the season.
We do. We love listening to our opening
You'd like to approach
music.
us about a remix.
But yeah, so today I think we have a very fun topic that we've all been looking forward to for a while because we're a little bit of geeks over here. But we have jumped into a new game system. New to us, not new in general. We started playing in the Star Wars TTRPG world recently.
We did. We did. Is it time to press the button?
Yes, it is.
Let's press the button. Yeah, whoopty shit. Back to Star Wars.
Yes.
Star Wars.
So if you have not listened to any of our previous episodes, you may not know this, but if you have listened, you will know that we love Star Wars around here, and Jess in particular is a rabid fan.
My nickname is Threepio for a reason.
So this was something that we wanted to jump into for lots of reasons.
Yes, we teamed up with Goblin Creation Industries. Look at you over there. My gosh. We're having an entire thing.
So we sort of touched on it.
I just really like Star Wars. I'm sorry.
No, this is great.
So let's throw that out there. Let's get your own words. Malcolm, why Star Wars TTRPG?
It's the cross section of probably two of my largest fandoms. I grew up with, and in different stages of my life, had deep phases of fanhood within the Star Wars universe. Now, I will say that when it comes to lore, information, expanded universe, I am nowhere near what some others of us are in forms of knowledge. But I always loved the world, the story, and the idea of a space opera and how that played out, the political elements of it. I love the world. And then if you can put that into a manageable and authentic TTRPG world experience, get good stories out of it, that's I'm there for that. I'm there to try that from a player in a game master level.
Yeah, sure. All right, Jess, your turn.
So, obviously, I've been a Star Wars fan since I was 5, and I've done everything. I've played the video games. I've read the books, like both the old EU, which is now called Legends, and the new canon books. I've watched all the movies. I've watched all the TV shows. So, like, I've read the comic books. If it exists and it's Star Wars, I've probably consumed that media. So the only thing that was really left was the TTRPG, which I hadn't really touched prior because I didn't play TTRPGs. But then once I had friends who played TTRPGs, I'm like, wow, let's play the Star Wars one.
Yeah.
I really like just the ability, to your point, of the world and loving the world, and by doing the TTRPG, we get to. It's almost like fan fiction, but even more so, because it's like we get to narrate a story in that world that we love so much, but we get to actually role play those people.
Yes.
And so it's even more immersive. And I don't know. I really like that.
No, like I've really enjoyed it so far. I get a lightsaber.
So we wanted to just go into a little bit of, for those of you who maybe haven't played, we wanted to share a little bit of our first initial thoughts about the startup and getting going on the game. We jumped into this by getting some quick start kits. And I'm going to throw out there, we're talking about Star Wars TTRPG as though that in and of itself is just a thing. There are multiple different role-playing games for Star Wars. And even within the system that we are playing in, there are, I think, at least 3 different games, and we're leveraging sort of all of them. Malcolm, you've got them up there, right?
Right. So where we're playing right now, our game is in the Edge of the Empire
Right.
System and storyline. And this is by Fantasy Flight Games, but currently being published by Edge Studio. And we are on module, we are on learn mode, we are on level 0 understanding, and have played a session 0/1/2 and then a full session.
Yeah. And to point out one of the things that we did, again, because there's even within the Edge of Empire and that system, there are 2 other I'm going to say games that are technically considered separate, but that you leverage the same game system. And so what we've sort of done is what we always do, homebrewed our own version and amalgamated them together.
Right.
They do work together pretty well. I think they're meant to work together pretty well.
Yeah.
Like my character sheet had to come from one of the other games because
Correct.
the Edge of the Empire did not have any Force users in it.
Right.
Absolutely. So we opened up the world and sort of started with the storyline. Character creation I thought was fantastic. I'm jumping off script now, but I thought what the players came to the table with were really great characters with a lot of potential. But.
Yeah. I guess I would throw out there, we started with those quick start guides. How was that a good choice? Was that a bad choice? What are your guys' thoughts about that, Jess?
Okay, so I guess this kind of ties into my original foray into TTRPGs as a whole, is that there are quick start guides for D&D where there are pre-made characters. I didn't do that with my first character because I was joining a table where every single other person at the table had 30 plus years of experience. They could walk me through the damn character sheet and did so. So I had somebody basically holding my hand and explaining everything as I was trying to fill out the character sheet. So even though I'm looking at the character sheet as a new player was very intimidating. I have no idea what the hell any of this stuff is.
In the Star Wars world.
Well, no, in
D&D.
Okay. Katie sitting there, or Arcadia sitting there right next to me telling me what all of it was. Oh, okay, this makes sense. So then every other TTRPG we've played, we've done VTM, we've done Shadowrun. I know that there have been others that I wasn't there for, but the rest of the table is done. I've also rolled my own character, even though the character sheet is completely unfamiliar, and I'm looking at it, I was like, what the fuck is all of this? So that was the same here, where I guess I'm used to, I want to build my own character. So I ignore all the quick start shit, even though that would honestly be easier for me. So I'm putting myself in hard mode on purpose, and maybe I shouldn't do that. But that's kind of where any frustration that came in is literally because it's a new system. I probably ought to just let it. So sort of like we
went with the quick start, but then we didn't really let the quick start do what the quick start can do because we chose to make our own characters. Malcolm, what's your thought?
I think that specifically, I'm not a module guy. I like to homebrew and play to what the players at the table are leaning into, but the dice pool system for this game almost commands a little bit of respect to sit down and get through the clunkiness on. It is I think, rather clunky system for dice pool resolution, that there are so many different outcomes to calculate with big dice pools in it that it can get slow. And I think that one of the things that maybe the quick start guide is there for people like me is to figure out where to insert homebrew simplicities. figure out what I don't like, figure out what I don't want to walk across to the table, and can still keep within the framework of the game, or what I'd like to add, or what doesn't feel as clunky to me. But I think that, yeah, just jumping in without a little bit of mechanics walkthrough, which I'll say the startup guide does fairly well. Rarely do I think so, but yes, in this case, I think it was worth our time to do so as a table.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was really helpful to me with the startup was that it had the dice pool guides in there that, we could have this little book opened up and it said, this kind of die means this and this kind of die means that, and this is how they function and this is how they work. And I want to dive into the dice a little bit more later, but so there's some definite helpful points to those quick start guides. But we just, you hit on this. We really sort of did run into a problem with that because we're not typically the group that likes to be handed a pre-made character. We want to build our own. So talk to me, Jess. What was particularly challenging about that, because we went to the quick start guide?
Well, we had all the quick start guides, and then two of us at least proceeded to decide to make our own characters. And that meant we had to get into the actual rule books, which the quick start
guide didn't provide the information needed.
And we did find them for free online, but that was kind of like scrolling through a PDF on my phone, which then naturally reloaded midway through me scrolling through it. And then I had to scroll down through another 100 pages again.
Not ideal.
It's challenging.
Not ideal. And like trying to figure out what each section was and what it did. It's like I kind of had to scroll back and forth because I don't think the guide was like necessarily in order of what I was going to be doing on my character sheet, and I had to figure out how they all worked. And so that was, I guess, the kind of a steeper learning curve, because at this point, but that's I had that same problem with Shadowrun and VTM, where I'm looking at this character sheet, I'm like, what in the fuck are all of these things? And because like at this point, I know D&D character sheets really well. Mm-hmm. And if it's different from that, and it's not a game I've played a lot yet, because the bulk of my TTRPG experience is with D&D at this point. So whenever we try a new game and I'm looking at a new system, like, all right, this doesn't feel right because it's not D&D to me. So that's not necessarily a fault of any of the systems. It's just familiarity and me jumping in the deep end when I don't necessarily have to, but I want to make my own character, damn it.
Yeah. So, Malcolm, we recently also did a Daggerheart, startup.
Sure.
To run through that game, try it out, see how it went. Comparisons that you have in regards to, like, say, getting the game up and going between the two systems?
I think that there, once again, you've got a different layer of mechanical element that Edge of the Empire brings in, I think. It was one of the comments that I made when we did Daggerheart that, if I can have hope and fear, why don't you give me the next level, the elevated version of hope and fear for more narrative, dramatic tension. And it's right there in Edge of Empire with a couple different mechanics that I think are done well, but I think your dice pool resolution system is clunkier, for lack of a better term, and that you are going to have more room to narratively resolve maybe through the simpler set of resolution probabilities for Daggerheart. I don't know. If you're doing it very well, it can be much more flavor, because what Edge of the Empire is selling you is that pulp, that high-speed chase, that it is meant for high climactic action scenes.
Yeah.
And basically like Star Wars.
Yes, exactly.
Somebody called you from the meeting. Yes, it's meant for those cinematic moments where Daggerheart is not implicitly. So those higher stakes terms and higher stakes roles, it seems, are going to play to that tension in the story.
I know that for getting it started, I decided to go the opposite route of Jess. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a pre-made character. And a part of that is, a little bit of what Jess is talking about. We've branched out to a couple of different games recently. And the frustration of creating a character when I don't know the rules, when I don't understand the game fully. And so I really actually liked the reduction of stress that came with saying, hand me a character sheet,
right?
And then how those character if you're good with a pre-made character, how those character sheets roll out and explain how to use the different stats and scores and all of that kind of stuff. For me, worked really, really well. I felt like I was much less stressed at the table in how my character functioned because the guide had laid all that out. My curiosity, though, is as people who are big fans, I'm assuming big fans are the ones who are going to want to jump into this. Jess, would you be willing to do a pre-made character sheet in order for learning the game to be less stressful and easier? Or because you love the world so much, you want exactly the character you want to play?
So it kind of depends on what the pre-made characters are. And I guess, to be fair, it didn't even occur to me to really look thoroughly at the pre-made characters to see if I wanted to play one or not, because I was already starting to have an idea for what I wanted to do with my character, and I wanted to make what I wanted to make.
Right.
So I would have to go through it again and see if there was one that just kind of spoke to me, because realistically, I want to like my character and I want to feel like my character fits me. And if none of the pre-made ones do that, I'm not really going to be interested in playing them. I still want to play what I want to play. And
so it's worth the headache or hassle if it's challenging.
Yeah. It was if you hand me a bunch of D&D, pre-made D&D characters and they're all clerics and paladins, that's not my speed. I don't really like that type of class very much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more wizard or bard or something. Yeah. So I'm going to want to make my own if those are the options. I would have to look at them again to see if there was one that kind of spoke to me a little bit, but I don't. Yeah, I think really feeling like my character fits me is very important to me.
Sure. So it's worth the headache of working through that.
Yeah. And what I'm running into now is, because I made the character myself, I'm still, I have to try out a couple of sessions and see, all right, did I build this character in a way that makes sense? Because I had no idea what I was doing when I made it.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to revisit some of these stats?
Sure.
So, at least I have a nice GM who will let me revisit as needed, because I made that character when I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Right.
So, yeah, but we'll have to see. I just got to try it out.
Yeah. So I think this is a good time for us to take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, I think we'll dive into that a little bit more about how we get to learn the system and really figure out how our characters are fitting in that world. So we look forward to sharing more of Star Wars TTRPGs with you when we come back.
When you sit down at the table, open the books, and spill out the dice, you're looking for an epic adventure. Tabletop role-playing is more popular than ever, and every day new players join our great hobby. My name is Steve Kellums, and I'm the host of the Epic Adventure Podcast. I'm just a fan with a radio voice, but joining me on this quest will be Mike Howlett, the co-founder of Oddfish Games, a great independent game company, and Christina Stiso, a PhD student studying game-based learning. Together, we will discuss all things tabletop gaming, from character creation to world building to setting and pacing. We will give you tips and tricks to make your games, well, epic. Like and subscribe to the Epic Adventure Podcast today.
This episode of Finding Atoria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. The Finding Atoria podcast is looking for guests for our upcoming episodes. Are you or someone you know passionate about the TTRPG community and have a story to share? If so, contact us on our socials or reach out at wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. And now back to your program.
Hey guys, welcome back to Finding Atoria, where we are talking about all things Star Wars TTRPG today. Having
Very
fun with that.
Very fun.
So we have been talking about sort of our new delve into Star Wars World TTRPG and our takeaways from that. I wanted to jump back in a little bit to what Jess was talking about in regards to character creation and sort of figuring out through the gameplay whether or not we did that right or if it needs to be different. Because really, this is for all of us. No one at the table is a veteran of the game. We're all learning it together, GM and players alike. And so we're sort of learning it as we go. So how do you think that's going, Jess?
Well, thus far, my thoughts on my character are that some of the abilities I chose are kind of useless at the moment, and we were also working off of, I think, a module originally. And so like I kind of designed my character to be as flexible as possible, both in terms of like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Help.
I can try, but I can't read minds. Alignment.
In terms of alignment, because like you've got the Empire, but you've also got the rebellion against the Empire, and I wanted that because I didn't know what the other players were creating at the time, and I didn't want to.
Yeah, we sort of did that in a vacuum.
Yeah, I didn't want to create an Imperial loyalist only to have everybody else be, aligned with the rebellion.
Right.
So
right.
All right, well, my character was inspired by the fact that at some point in some of the EU books, Mara Jade, who started out as a Hand of the Emperor, discovered that she wasn't the only Hand of the Emperor, so I made another one. So I figured that could be whether, technically the Emperor is my boss, but based on the books I've read with the early days of Mara Jade, basically the way that worked was like you could use whatever you wanted as assets, and the Emperor wasn't going to be pissed if you used rebels as assets, just whatever got the job done. Mm-hmm. So that gave me the flexibility to work with anybody, and then I could always change my allegiance later if I wanted to.
Sure.
But so that was the idea, but then like actually in practice, it's like, yeah, that works well for story, but then the actual like mechanics, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I kind of had to guess what would be useful. And thus far, a lot of what I chose hasn't been super useful.
And to be fair, I was just, as you were saying this, I was thinking about it. The fact that we opened up the world a little bit, we're playing Edge of Empire module. And if you look at that as its, encapsulated self, there are not PCs that are Force users. And so we brought a Force user in from, another one of the games, and maybe because we were following module, there's not as many opportunities for Force user work. But we've also discussed how we like to branch out and homebrew. So GM extraordinaire over there, what are your thoughts so far about learning it as we play?
I think that was one of the biggest things that I had to pick up was that I needed to get off module quickly because the module is did not include all of my player types at the table. And I didn't do a good job of that because I was picking up mechanics on the fly at the time.
And let's just to be super clear, just because I didn't really have an occasion to use my
like your force stuff.
Telekinesis,
your player was still very involved. I mean, it's not as though
it was still a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just being involved at all in the Star Wars universe, and and it actually works out really well because my character's just meeting these two other characters, doesn't know them that well. And it's like, is the fact that she can use the Force really something she wants to reveal to them right now?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Maybe not. So that actually, it's, there's a different way of thinking about it that's like, okay, yeah, it's an Edge of Empire module, not the one where my character sheet came from. So yeah, to be fair, it's not designed necessarily, even though all of the three different sets work well together.
Yeah, the system, the dice system is the same. The mechanics are the same.
That doesn't mean that module was designed to have Force users in it. So,
right.
You jump off module and you homebrew out as quickly as you possibly can because it's a pivot situation and it's fun to run. I think that right now the table and the characters are making it very enjoyable because people are very invested in who they brought to the table, whether they created them or not. There's a lot of good role playing going on, and that's always going to yield amazing results. It's a narrative forward focused game.
I almost got stabbed by a mouse droid.
And it does leave room for you stabby stab death gremlins of players to have a little fun there too.
The mouse droid character, that's a player character.
Yeah.
Like, decided he wanted to play a mouse droid.
That's so awesome.
Like, that's amazing.
So how much do you think your knowledge of Star Wars, and I'm going to throw this out to both of you, is how much is your role playing in the game benefited by your knowledge of the Star Wars universe? Or do you think it would be equally fun or more fun to, like, if you didn't know Star Wars? Jess.
So I guess for me, since I've been immersed in Star Wars since I was really little, this is like the way the module in the game is designed is that, or at least the module. I mean, if you're homebrewing, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But the way the module is designed is to be something completely self-contained. Mm-hmm. Like, all of the NPCs are completely fresh characters, but it still sounds familiar. Like, there's Teemo the Hutt.
Sure.
Not Jabba the Hutt. Not Gardola the Hutt.
And you're definitely
Teemo
Mos
the
somewhere. Yeah.
And you're in a Mos Shuta. It's still on Tatooine, but it's a completely new city.
Sure.
And so it carries, it's reminiscent of Jabba the Hutt in Mos Eisley or in Mos Espa or wherever, but it's completely fresh and new. So it adds on, and it's completely separate from the rest of the Star Wars universe.
So your canvas isn't already filled in.
Right.
It may have some familiar elements, but it's not filled in for you with lore and history.
Right. So, like, I know where this fits in timeline-wise. I know that we're talking, all right, the Empire is facing the internal threat of the rebellion organizing against it. But we're out on the edge here with bounty hunters and stuff, where, we're in Hutt space. And so I have, like, all of the books that I've read, all of the extra stuff that I've done has filled in everything around this. But I have no idea what's happening here right now. So I guess for me, I get the best of both because I know everything it's like the rest of the map is filled in for me, but this particular spot's an entire blank, which is cool.
But it does give you points of reference. It gives you opinions and expectations of what.
Yeah, I mean, I know what the Hutts are like.
Sure, points of reference are abound there, and that would make it easier from a role playing standpoint, I would think.
Yeah, maybe, and I think
familiarity with the world. Yeah,
but technically, like, so long as you've seen a Star Wars movie and know what the hell a Hutt is, you're gonna have fun with this regardless. Sure. Like, you don't, like, that background knowledge doesn't actually benefit me in the game at all, other than just, like, narratively I kind of see where this fits.
Sure.
And
I think I could see it both ways. I think there could be moments narratively where you get to make some connections. I'm playing a bounty hunter, and so if I wanted to narratively pull in some connections from the existing canon or something like that, I could try and throw it that way. But also, I am not nearly as knowledgeable about the world as you are, as Cole is, as Malcolm is. I love Star Wars. I just have not immersed myself in all of the media outside of the movies. And so for me, I don't have quite as large of a picture as you do in playing, but it's still just a fun game, and the setting is a fun setting.
And you should be able to, from the GM seat, offer a level of description that allows somebody who's never seen Star Wars to still get an idea of where they're at, how they're interacting with the area. But again, from that GM standpoint, it's almost daunting, and it's refreshing to hear Jess say that this world is not subject to lore.
That's what I was going to ask about from a GM. Is how does it hit you as a GM?
It did. It was sitting there just going, this is a world that obviously my players know more about, but it's not. The tales of these characters have not been written. So if I do not pull in lore, I'm not going to bump into it here. And I think that frees people up to role play more genuinely. And it takes a lot of the pressure off of the Encyclopedia Britannica flipping GM going, no, actually, in season 6, episode 3 of the Clone Wars, I don't want to do that because I'm going to lose that every time with you and Cole. So let's write the lore. Let's homebrew this. Let's take the weight off of that. But I also want to be able to weave it in and incorporate. Those are the characters that we love. And I would love for the just the bluff to be like, look, when I was on the job with Solo, and your character just totally name drops, and people are like, the fuck? So, okay, but really? Yeah, I call him Han, but look. I love that. And the game offers a lot of space for that. And I think that that's why you play in that world. You don't play in this world to stay away from a transmission was overheard about a Jedi, blah, 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 alliance. And bring in elements. That's why I wanted to do that Imperial report, where you're just, a little bit about what you guys are doing in game and then something canonical from that time in the movie as part of the report or referenced in there. I think that you use it. I just don't think that you play it. I don't want to play Han Solo. I want to play it different. You know what I mean? I don't want to tell the stories that have been told on Mos Eisley, Mos Shoulda, whatever you want to call it. It's fresh space. It's like you said, it's blank on the canvas where everything else is filled in great detail and can influence that. We don't hold the expectations there.
Right. Like the character that I created requires a lot of background knowledge, like just to know that I guess profession even existed.
Right.
Like I had to read a lot of EU books to first know who Mara Jade is in the first place, because that was the original line down this particular path. Mm-hmm. And then to know that, she didn't know she wasn't the only Hand of the Emperor.
She's
like
one of many, right?
The job of Hand of the Emperor is like basically I ended up making sort of like a roguey warlock.
It's like an archetype,
right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're gonna put it in D&D terms, my character is essentially a warlock because Emperor Palpatine is her boss, but like sends her out
made a pact.
Sends her out on jobs to figure it out herself.
Everything you've described before, I was getting ready to say if Tori was in studio, would be sitting there going and having a rogue reflex, because you're talking about all of those rogue elements that are almost classic and tropey inside of the Hand to the Emperor role.
Right, because like she can sneak around.
The espionage,
that's her job, is to be rogue, but with using the Force and a lightsaber and a blaster and the distant
fields.
The very distant boss is the Emperor. But so creating that character, I needed all that background knowledge in order to come up with that idea in the first place. Yeah. But if I didn't have it, I just wouldn't have made that particular one. I would have made something else that was equally fun.
Right. And that appealed to you.
Right.
Since you had that vaster
it's like I could have played just like a regular, Order 66 survivor or something, and not that that's regular.
I was going to say that cracks me up that you're like, well,
you mean all those guys, huh?
Well, there are a lot of them in Star Wars media.
Yes,
I mean, Cal Kestis is an Order 66 survivor. So is Kanan Jarrus, Order 66 survivor. So it's just, there are a remarkable number of them who, Ahsoka Tano is also one of those. So,
from the game discussion.
Yeah, I was like, and
Whoopty shit back to Star Wars.
Sorry, getting a little sidetracked here.
So I want to, if you don't mind, I want to
go ahead.
Bring back to the game a little bit. Malcolm, you GM'd this one. You're our perennial GM. Every now and then you get a break. What did you think about just mechanics wise, like step out of the Star Wars realm, but as a new game system, what were your thoughts about GMing this, using the quickstart GMing this versus other things? Yeah.
It was not that difficult to do the game, because the game, once again, is very narrative, and in this case, very cinematic based. It is you are almost doing an arc of a scene in these modules to break down and play out the high action value of a certain. You said it earlier. It's Star Wars. You're doing big cinematic stuff.
Yeah, it's space opera.
The resolutions.
Yeah, we destroyed a junkyard first.
Are a little bit.
We adopted an R5 droid. He's our little buddy now.
The player choices are incredible.
I just love that all three of us basically went, we're taking this droid.
Oh, dude, there were looks of pleading all the way up to looks of, you don't want to test me on this.
We are taking this droid.
Like, there were all of those represented attempts to get the droid from the GM, and I was just like, yeah. But back to answer the question, it was, I think that the resolution dice system, the pool, is a little bit too convoluted to move through swiftly. That may be a familiarity thing. I think that we had trouble sitting there and going, okay,
what is the sequel?
This many advantages, and I'm taking this away, but we come in with that. Where maybe if you do that, maybe that's looking at D8s like it used to be when I don't know what that means. Maybe it's just familiarity with the system, but it felt clunky to move through. I do like how skills are built. And I love something that we didn't get into, and I don't think that you get the chance to do in a one shot, which is the obligations. It's sort of an engine or a tool within the game, which is, your loyalty. Like, you're doing favors out there. You're swapping for information, and you go back to I think episode 7 where Han's got the monsters that and then both gangs show up, and he's like, the rat, are you hauling Rathars in here? And both, factions show up and want their money. Yeah. I never made a deal with Ganja Club. And those sorts of situations that affect you, and it gives sort of like your fear element in Daggerheart, it gives the GM a narrative drop in, like in the middle of a situation, Ganja Club shows up, and it I like that element. I like the social. We talk about it in Shadowrun with if you're burning your contacts and how good that sort of element I've always liked in games, and I think that would be a good one for it. I had trouble getting to a galaxy far, far away, to be honest with you. It was a cantina, it was a club scene. It just did not have that galactic feel yet. Because we
haven't gotten off planet.
We haven't gotten off planet. Nobody's really interacted with a whole bunch of spacey shit. You know what I mean? So it kind of felt like we were shadow running a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, to me, it actually was the opposite.
Okay.
Because you know where every fucking thing ever in Star Wars starts?
The cantina.
Absolutely.
No?
Fucking Tatooine.
Yes, it always
It
starts
all originates on Tatooine. Luke Skywalker's from Tatooine. Anakin Skywalker's from Luke Skywalker's from Tatooine because Anakin Skywalker's from Tatooine. Like, every Star Wars game ever sends you back to Tatooine.
They've been blowing up planets in that franchise for like 40 years. Nobody's locked a laser onto Tatooine and go, okay, we're done with this shit.
Right? Like, they keep saying that it's a rock in the middle of nowhere, except like every important thing ever happens there. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Right? They make sure that you can go there in Star Wars The Old Republic. They make sure that you can go there in Knights of the Old Republic. Like, it's a nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
Like, they make sure to include it because it's a nostalgia thing. So, like, starting on Tatooine, like we were talking in an earlier episode about how, like, for you guys, nostalgia comes from like just playing different elements of, like, just parts of just sitting down at a table and playing a TTRPG or playing D&D is nostalgia. Like, starting on Tatooine,
right? Being
on Tatooine.
That really hits
That hits me.
The sand and the suns.
The twin suns over the horizon. And, that hits every nostalgia note for me.
Cool.
I love it. So I'm going to throw out one last question. First to the GM. Your overall take. Would you recommend this for other GMs to jump in as a new game to try out? Where ease of playing, ease of starting? What are your thoughts?
I think that the potential of the game and the way that you can progress in the game with the narrative cinematic element, that potential far outweighs the negatives of what's in my mind an inherently clunky system adapted from an inherently clunky system with a little bit of flash and dash on it that maybe you need, maybe you don't. but assuming that smooths out with use, definitely get into it, especially if you can get to, I think once you get off world, once your scope broadens out a little bit and you play in a bigger part of that world, it's going to do nothing but get better. I think that it was written very well. And I think that the quick start guide in this instance is something that I would recommend a GM of any level or Star Wars aficionado of any degree to make use of as a valid tool.
Yeah. Jess, how about for you? Comparative to other games, you've not jumped into quite as many, but how do you feel it's holding its own right now?
I mean, I was always going to love it because it's
Star Wars.
Like, I mean, admittedly, like not all of everything Star Wars is amazing, but I love it anyway. Like,
right.
There are some of the movies are legitimately terrible, but I watch them and love them anyway because it's Star Wars, even though it's honestly terrible in comparison to other things. But like, so I was going to love anything that had to do with Star Wars, and just actually like looking at kind of like the mechanics of it, and like, you know, the character creation part of it. I would recommend to somebody who's never played it before that maybe take a good look at the pre-made characters first, and maybe try, you know, even if you just do a
play
one
through
shot,
it a couple
just like
times,
play
just to
through with a little, you know, just
learn the mechanics.
Yeah, to learn the mechanics, and then you have a better idea of what you're doing when you make one. Because I literally have, because this is the same problem I had with Shadowrun. It's the same problem I had with VTM, where I'm making a character before I know what the hell I'm doing. And I could not be putting myself into hard mode here by just using a pre-made character, but
to learn the game.
Yeah, like just at least like, all right, I'm going to do this just for like a one shot, just to learn the game, then I'll make my own. You know, like you don't have to stick with the pre-made character once you kind of have a better idea of what you're doing.
Apparently, it makes sense in this way alone, because I'm an immersion guy. I want to build my own character. You're doing one less whole thing.
Right, yes.
You know what I mean? You are not split between learning the rules of the game and learning how to play your character and build a character.
That's what I've enjoyed about it.
And it just allows you, the brain, to focus on, okay, how am I playing? How does this run? I say that, I recognize the benefit of it. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it.
I like my Emperor's Hand with the
going to do it. Because for me, it's immersion. For me now, I'm in that video game watching me walk. It's not me. It's not my character anymore, and that's a different.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably why.
But it's counterintuitive because it allows the brain to do and learn the one thing.
See, and I'm the weirdo who's the opposite. Being handed a character that I didn't create almost gets me more engaged because I have to be more thoughtful about how do I make this, how do I role play this character?
More genuinely role play it.
Like I have to really dig into the role playing because I have to figure out who is this character that I just got handed. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know, I think I get more genuine to the character. Whereas when I make my own characters, I sort of am always going to fall back on the same
call to
style.
Call to action.
Well, I guess
if you enjoy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if weigh in on this.
Yeah.
Like, is this something? Do you? What are the benefits of playing a pre-made character, and what are your experiences, and what rock do you willingly die on in this conversation, if any, or is it much ado about nothing?
Yeah, I think it's a great conversation. Pre-made or build your own.
Oh, now we have a topic for next time.
Right, exactly. All right, guys, thank you for the conversation.
Very fun.
We hope you've enjoyed delving into the world of Star Wars a little bit. If you are a fan of Star Wars as much as we are and you love TTRPGs, truly, I think we would recommend going out and checking out this system if you haven't already. And touch base with us on our socials. Give us feedback of what you think about the different games you're playing and the different characters you're creating. We'd love to hear from you. You can find us at www.findingatoria.com www.wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. The second time I've messed that up. You can find us on Facebook and Insta and YouTube. And we are on all of your podcast networks. So check us out. Engage with us. Ask us questions. We will respond. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
This episode of Finding Atoria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. find us at wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. If you or anyone you know has stories or other good things to say about TTRPGs, get a hold of us. You can find us on all the social medias.
This episode of Finding Atoria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. Are you interested in sharing stories of your favorite TTRPG experiences? If so, reach out at www.wordleafmedia.com/contact us on our socials, or you can now leave a comment on your favorite Finding Atoria episode at our Wordleaf Media YouTube channel.